Thank you. Good morning and happy 65th anniversary. Pastor Wes asked me several months ago if I would share a moment of joy and a story of service with you. My mother and father, Ruth and Ron Olson, started coming to this church in 1958. I came along the next year and have been involved in the church ever since. So picking some stories to share with you is a little difficult because there are so many to choose from. But these are the ones that I picked for you. My moment of joy occurs every Christmas Eve and is shared by my whole family. We have been attending Christmas Eve service at First Congregational Church for over 60 years. It's a family tradition that is now ongoing for 4 generations. When Dr. Seister began his ministry with the church, he made Christmas Eve a magical, mystical, exciting worship service. Greg Chestnut joined the staff, and the worship experience just became even more meaningful with his expertise in music and leading our fabulous choir. Pastor Wes has continued to lead us on this amazing night with all of the same traditions. So with the ringing of the bells, the wonderful instruments, and this amazing choir, we know that it is time to celebrate our Savior's birth. Our favorite time of the service is when the church goes dark and quiet, except for the lit Christ candle. And then one by one, little by little, we pass the light of Christ to each other, and the sanctuary takes on the glow of all the candles held by members. We sing Silent Night with reverence and with awe as the whole church glows with the reflection of the candlelight in the windows, bringing so much light into this sacred space. You can see the smiles on the face of our neighbors and feel the love of Christ in this room. Then, when the candles are extinguished, we are invited to take them home with us, and when we feel down, troubled, and need to feel the love of God again, to light the candle and remember the wonderful, warm feeling of Christmas Eve, the love God has given to all mankind. My story of service is from June 1999, when I had the privilege and pleasure of being a chaperone for our youth group and confirmation class to Puerto Rico. Reverend Bud Schroeder organized the trip through the Programa de Intercambio Culture in connection with the Hospital Rider Memorial. We worked with the Iglesia Evangelica Unit UCC in Puerto Rico. These kids spent almost a year raising the money for airfare and to purchase supplies for when we got there. We held bake sales, served breakfast between services, held spaghetti dinners, and the kids rented themselves out to the congregation to do odd jobs, paint, yard work, or any other service that was needed. We called it Rent-A-Kid. 13 of us flew from Tampa to Puerto Rico, spending a week in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Can you imagine 10 teenagers with 2 bathrooms? Showers were supposed to be 5 minutes long, and that did not happen. The service projects we were assigned were with rebuilding a house of one of the church members that had sustained major damage by Hurricane Georges, working at a handicapped children's summer camp, and assisting the visiting nurses at Bethesda Elderly Home. Some of our days started at 4:45 a.m., and some nights we didn't get home until 11 o'clock. Those kids were amazing in handling their responsibilities, and the respect that they gave to the people they worked with. I was so proud of them and how well they represented our church. They worked very hard to get there, and even harder on the service projects while there. After we returned home, we served a Puerto Rican dinner to those who helped us raise the money for the trip. When talking with kids on the way home, they agreed that this trip had an impact on their lives by the cultural exchange of meeting new people, seeing the devastation done by Hurricane Georges, or being part of a group of people trying to make a difference in our world. I was truly blessed to be part of this service project and to be a representative of our church with these young people. A quick moment of joy that my husband Ed asked me to share with you, and it's very special to us. On a Sunday morning worship service in 1975, a young man was sitting in this very congregation, probably right about there, with his mother and stepfather. A young lady with wire-rimmed glasses and a miniskirt was ushering, probably somewhere over there. The young man was taken by the young lady, and that day, without saying a word to her, he turned to his stepfather and told him, "That's the girl I'm going to marry." Well, fast forward 4 years later, they were married in this very room where they met. Next month, we will be celebrating our 40th anniversary. Thanks be to God for that moment of joy, and may God continue to bless this church for another 65 years. Amen.